I never planned on loving Hector Ruiz. Hell, I never planned on surviving him. Back in freshman year at NYU, he was the golden boy of the debate team. Tall, olive-skinned, with that effortless swagger that made professors simper and girls and guys swoon. Me? I was Christopher Hale, the awkward kid from the suburbs of Philly, scraping by on scholarships and spite. We crashed into each other like two freight trains on a collision course, and from day one it was war. It started in Debate 101. Professor Langford had us paired for our first mock trial, me arguing for affirmative action, him against. I walked in with my notes crisp, my tie straight, ready to prove I belonged in this concrete jungle. Hector sauntered in late, flashing that dimpled grin like he owned the room. "Sorry, traffic," he said, not sounding sorry at all. Our eyes met, and I swear something sparked. Annoyance, mostly. He had this way of leaning back in his chair, arms crossed, like whatever I said was already beneath him. I opened strong. Stats on inequality, personal anecdotes from my mom's job at the factory. Solid, passionate. Then Hector dismantled me. Not with facts, though he had plenty, but with charisma. "Look, Chris," he drawled, using my name like a weapon. "Affirmative action sounds noble, but it's just pity dressed up as progress. We're talking real merit here, not handouts." The class ate it up. Laughter rippled through the room, and Langford nodded like Hector had dropped Shakespeare. I felt my face burn, that familiar knot of rage twisting in my gut. Who the hell was this guy, waltzing in from Queens like he had all the answers? After class, I cornered him in the hall. "Handouts? You think my spot here is a handout?" He turned, eyebrow arched, that infuriating half-smile playing on his lips. "Didn't say that. But if you're this fired up, maybe you're proving my point." I wanted to deck him. Instead, I stormed off, vowing to bury him in the next round. That vow became my religion. Over the next 4 years, Hector and I turned every debate, every group project, every goddamn campus event into a battlefield. He was everywhere. Leading the Lading Student Union, captaining the intramural soccer team, charming his way into internships at fancy law firms. I was the grinder, tutoring freshmen for cash, interning at a dingy nonprofit, building my resume brick by resentful brick. We'd clash in the student lounge over coffee, voices rising until security hovered nearby. "You're so full of shit, Hale," he'd say, but there was always that glint in his eye, like he enjoyed the fight as much as I did. Sophomore year, it got personal. I came out during a late-night dorm confession with my roommate, buzzed on cheap beer. Word spread like wildfire. NYU's rumor mill was merciless. Next debate practice, Hector pulls me aside. "Heard the news, Chris. Congrats." His tone was light, but I read judgment in it. "What? You got a problem with it?" I snapped. He shrugged. "Nah, man. Just be careful. This place eats dreamers alive." I laughed it off, but it stung. Was he warning me, or warning the world about me? From then on, our barbs had teeth. He'd quip about sensitive topics in front of the team. I'd counter with digs at his heteronormative privilege. It was exhausting, exhilarating, a toxic dance I couldn't quit. By junior year, the hate had roots. I dated a guy from the theater department. Quiet, sweet, nothing like Hector. But when Hector found out, he cornered me after a party. "Saw you with that artsy kid. He treating you right." It was casual, but his eyes bored into mine. "None of your business," I shot back. He stepped closer, beer on his breath. "Just saying, you deserve better than some wannabe method actor." I shoved him away, heart pounding. What the hell was that? Pity? Jealousy? I told myself it was nothing. But that night, alone in my room, I replayed it 100 times, wondering why his words lingered like smoke. Senior year sealed it. We were up for the same internship at the ACLU, prestigious, life-changing. I poured everything into my application. Essays on civil rights, shadowed cases in Brooklyn. Hector, of course, networked his ass off. When the offers came, mine was a polite rejection. His was a glowing acceptance. I confronted him in the quad, rain starting to spit from the gray sky. "Did you say something? Pull strings." He looked genuinely hurt. Jesus, Chris, you think I'd sabotage you? I don't know what you'd do, I yelled. Because you're always one step ahead, screwing everyone else. He grabbed my arm, gripped firm. Grow up, Hale. The world's not out to get you. It's just bigger than your grudge. I yanked free and walked away, the rain soaking me through. That was the last time we spoke in college. Graduation came and went. I moved to Brooklyn, scraping by at a legal aid clinic, while he jetted off to some fancy firm in Midtown. 4 years of radio silence. I built a life. A tiny apartment in Williamsburg, a boyfriend named Alex who was steady as a heartbeat, cases that actually helped people. But Hector haunted me not as a person but as a symbol. The guy who got everything I wanted. The one who made me question if I was ever enough. Then fate or karma threw us back together. It was a sticky July afternoon in 2025, and I was grinding through depositions at a pro bono firm when my boss dropped the bomb. Christopher, we've merged with Ruiz and Associates. Budget cuts, you know? Your new lead partner's Hector Ruiz. My stomach dropped. Hector? As in? She nodded, oblivious. Brilliant guy. You'll learn a ton. I showed up to the first meeting in Midtown like I was walking to my execution. The office was all glass and chrome, worlds away from my fluorescent-lit hole in the wall. And there he was, behind a desk piled with files, looking sharper than ever in a tailored suit that hugged his broad shoulders. His hair was shorter, styled back, but those brown eyes, still piercing, still pulling me in against my will. Chris, he said, standing with that same easy grace. Long time. Yeah, I muttered, forcing a handshake. His palm was warm, callous from God knows what soccer still, probably. Congrats on the merger. Or should I say, the takeover. He chuckled, low and genuine. Still got that fire, huh? See, let's talk cases. We dove in, immigration appeals, tenant rights, the gritty stuff that kept me up at night. He was good, annoyingly so. Sharp questions, real empathy in his follow-ups. This client's story reminds me of my abuela's, he'd say, leaning forward, voice softening. It disarmed me. By the end of the hour, I'd forgotten to hate him. Almost. That night, over takeout in my apartment, I vented to Alex. He's not the asshole I remembered. It's freaking me out. Alex, ever the therapist type, squeezed my hand. Maybe people change, babe. Or maybe you do. I rolled my eyes, but his words stuck. Hector texted later, professional about a file, but it felt like a crack in the wall. Weeks blurred into months. We worked side by side, late nights in the conference room, coffee runs turning into shared stories. He opened up about his family. Strict dad, a little sister he adored, the pressure to be the success story from their block in Jackson Heights. Coming out was hell, he admitted one evening, staring at the skyline from the office window. Dad didn't speak to me for a year, but Mom? She baked empanadas and said, "Me, Joe, love who loves you back." I shared too, my parents' quiet acceptance, the isolation of being the only gay kid in high school. It was easy, natural. Too natural. The shift happened subtly. A brush of hands over documents. A lingering glance during arguments. One Friday, after winning a tough eviction case, we celebrated at a dive bar in the East Village. Beers flowed, laughter too. To underdogs, he toasted, clinking my glass. Our knees touched under the table, and neither pulled away. You were always the underdog, Chris, he said softly. But damn, you fought like hell. I swallowed hard. And you? Always the villain in my story. He winced, but his eyes held mine. Maybe I can rewrite that. By October, the merger was official, and so was the spark between us. Alex noticed first. You're glowing, he said one morning, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. I brushed it off, but guilt gnawed at me. Hector and I hadn't crossed lines, not yet, but the pull was magnetic. Then came the holiday party. The firm rented out a loft in Soho, fairy lights strung like stars, jazz humming low. I spotted Hector across the room, laughing with colleagues, his shirt unbuttoned just enough to show the chain around his neck. A Silver Street Christopher medal, ironically. He caught my eye and made his way over, 2 champagnes in hand. "Dance?" he asked, bold as ever. I hesitated. Alex was home with a cold. But still. One song. The floor was crowded, bodies swaying to some sultry saxophone riff. His hand on my waist was fire, confident, gentle. We moved together, whispers lost in the music. "I've thought about you," he murmured against my ear. "All those years." My heart hammered. "Hate's a hell of a memory." "Not hate," he said, pulling back to look at me. "Regret." We kissed in the alley behind the loft, rain-slicked bricks pressing into my back. It was desperate, hungry, years of tension unraveling in one stolen moment. "This is crazy," I gasped when we broke apart. "Yeah," he agreed, forehead to mine. "But it's us." I went home to Alex that night, the taste of Hector on my lips. The end was inevitable. 2 weeks later, over dinner at our favorite Italian spot, I came clean. "I'm falling for someone else." Alex's face crumpled, but he nodded. "I knew. Be happy, Chris. You deserve it." Guilt crushed me, but freedom followed. Hector and I dove in. Dinners in Little Italy, walks along the High Line, lazy Sundays in his bed in Astoria. He was everything I'd hated and more. Passionate, flawed, fiercely loyal. We talked marriage early, wild, romantic dreams over rooftop wine. "Vegas," he'd joke. "Nah, Central Park." With the whole city watching. But journeys aren't straight lines. Cracks showed. His long hours at the firm clashed with my nonprofit grind. Arguments flared, over politics, over priorities. "You're still fighting ghosts," he'd say when I'd snap about old injustices. "And you're still coasting on charm," I'd fire back. Yet we'd make up, tangled in sheets, whispering apologies into skin. By spring, we were solid. Or so I thought. We planned a trip to Philly, meet my folks, test the waters. On the train, he held my hand, thumb tracing circles. "Love you, Chris," he said, simple as that. I believed him. God, I did. Little did I know the storm was brewing. The Philly trip was magic at first. My parents' house in the suburbs hadn't changed. Same sagging porch, same rose bushes Mom fussed over. Dad grilled Hector on the back patio, probing like a cross-examination. "So you're a lawyer? Help the little guy or chase ambulances?" Hector handled it with that Ruiz charm, spinning tales of pro bono wins that had Dad chuckling by the burgers. Mom pulled me aside later, eyes misty. "He's good for you, Kit Kat. Lights you up." Hearing my old nickname softened the edges of my nerves. We stayed up late on the screened porch, fireflies dancing in the yard. Hector shared stories from his childhood. Sneaking tamales from Abuela's kitchen. Dodging his dad's belt after bad grades. "He wanted me to be a doctor," Hector said, voice low. "But law? That's where I fight back." I leaned into him, the humid air thick with cicadas. "You're a fighter, all right? Took me down plenty." He kissed my temple. "Nah, you took me down first." Back in the city, reality bit harder. The firm was ramping up for a big class action suit, corporate greed versus immigrant workers, and Hector was lead. I'd tag along on research, my nonprofit experience filling gaps. But stress mounted. Late nights meant takeout at midnight, arguments over strategy. "We can't afford to lose this," he'd snap, pacing the living room. "It's not just a case. It's people like my family." "And what about us?" I counter, voice rising. "When do we get time?" He'd deflate, pulling me close. "I'm sorry. This city's a beast." We'd laugh it off, but the wear built like plaque on arteries. Enter Elena, Hector's ex from law school. Poised, ambitious, with a laugh like champagne bubbles. She joined the firm as a junior partner. "Old-time sake," Hector said dismissively, but she was everywhere. Strategy sessions, happy hours, her hand lingering on his arm a beat too long. I trusted him, mostly. Still, jealousy gnawed, that old college venom resurfacing. One night, after a grueling deposition, we hit a bar in Hell's Kitchen. Elena was their third will-turned ringleader. "Remember that time in moot court, Hector? You crushed it. Saved my ass on cross." She batted lashes, and he grinned, nostalgic. Team effort. My beer soured in my mouth. Later, in the cab home, I unloaded. She's into you, and you're eating it up. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Elena's history, Chris. Ancient. Then act like it. The words hung heavy. He stared out the window, jaw tight. You think I don't see how you look at the new paralegal? That twink with the tattoos. I recoiled. That's not fair. Neither's this. Silence swallowed the ride. At my door, he kissed me fiercely. We're good. Promise. But doubt seeded. Summer sweltered on, and the case consumed us. Protests erupted. Workers marching in Union Square. Signs decrying exploitation. Hector and I were on the front lines, liaising with organizers. It bonded us, that shared fire. One humid afternoon, amid chants and sweat, he grabbed my hand in the crowd. This is why I do it, he said. For them. For us. I squeezed back, heart swelling. Love like that felt invincible. But invincibility's a lie. In August, Hector's dad passed. Sudden heart attack, the kind that steals breath without warning. I was at the hospital before the call ended, holding him as he shattered in the sterile waiting room. He never said it, Hector choked. Never said he was proud. We flew to Queens for the funeral. The Ruiz home, a whirlwind of relatives, maracas of casseroles, tears laced with tequila. I stood by him, a quiet anchor amid the storm. After grief hollowed him, nights he'd wake screaming, fists pounding the mattress. I'd hold him, whispering, "You're enough. You always were." Slowly, he surfaced. Therapy sessions squeezed between billable hours. Runs along the East River where we'd talk until dawn. "You saved me," he said one misty morning, hands cupping my face. "Marry me, Chris. For real." Tears pricked my eyes. Yes. God, yes. We kept it quiet at first. Rings exchanged over diner pancakes. Plans sketched on napkins. But word leaked. Elena cornered me in the copy room. Hector told me, "Congrats." Her smile was razor thin. "Just be careful. He's got a way of running when it gets real." I laughed it off, but her words burrowed. Fall brought wedding fever. We dreamed big. A small ceremony in Prospect Park. Friends from college, my folks flying in. Hector's sister, Maria, insisted on catering, tamales, and tiramisu fusion. But as invites went out, old ghosts stirred. My college roommate, now a journalist, texted, "Heard you're hitching to debate devil?" Bold. I ignored it, but insecurity whispered. Then the betrayal hit like a sucker punch. It was a Tuesday, gray skies threatening snow. I'd forgotten my laptop at home, Hector's place now officially, and swung by early. The door was ajar, voices murmuring inside. Elena's laugh, low and intimate. I froze in the hallway, heart thundering. Pushing in, I saw them on the couch. Hector's arm around her shoulders, her head on his chest. Not kissing, not quite, but close enough. Papers scattered, case notes? Or something more? "Chris," he said, jumping up, face paling.
Elena smirkt, umfazed.
Oops. Interrupted. What the hell? My voice cracked. This your idea of ancient history? It's not, Hector started, but I was already backing out. Save it. I knew you were too good to be true. I fled to the High Line, the elevated park a blur of tourists and wilted leaves. Rain started, fat drops blurring my vision. How could I be so stupid? College Hector charming his way to the top. Now this, using me as a rebound, a feel-good story before circling back to safe, straight-passing Elena? No, she was by, I'd heard. But it fit. The perfect cover for his ambition. Hours later, my phone buzzed. Texts, voicemails. I powered it off, crashing at Alex's. My ex, bless him, just held me as I ugly cried. Breathe, Chris. Get the truth. Truth came at dawn. Hector showed up, soaked and desperate, pounding on the door. Alex let him in, tactfully vanishing to the kitchen. It was nothing, Hector pleaded, eyes red-rimmed. She came over for case strategy, late, wine involved. I was lonely, missing Dad, and she listened. But I stopped it. Told her about us. Bullshit. I stood, arms crossed. You looked cozy. Like old times. He sank to his knees, Hector Ruiz on his knees. I swear on my mother's life. I love you, Chris. Only you. Sobs racked him, raw and unfiltered. Something cracked in me. I pulled him up. Our embrace fierce. Rain pooling at our feet. Prove it, I whispered. No more half-truths. He nodded. Fierce. All in. We rebuilt, brick by painful brick. Couples therapy in a cozy Chelsea office, where we unpacked the hate, the hurt. I pushed you away in college because you scared me, he admitted. You saw through the bullshit. I confess too. I hated you because I wanted you. Even then. Winter thawed into tentative spring. The case settled, a win for the workers, headlines in the Times. Hector proposed again properly, on one knee in that same Prospect Park grove, ring glinting in the sun. Journey's hard, he said, echoing our fights. But worth it. I pulled him up, kissing him deep. Every mile. Wedding planning turned us into a well-oiled machine or a pressure cooker, depending on the day. Maria took charge of the food. Her enthusiasm a whirlwind of spice rubs and tasting menus. No bland white people wedding for my brother, she'd declare, shoving arepas at us. My mom bonded with her over baking, trading recipes like state secrets. Dad, ever the stoic, grilled Hector on long-term plans. But by the rehearsal dinner, he was clapping him on the back, calling him son. Yet beneath the checklists, shadows lingered. Elena transferred firms. Hector's doing, he swore. But her parting shot echoed, he'll run. Paranoia crept in during quiet moments. A canceled dinner here, a vague text there. Firm stuff, he'd say, and I'd nod. But trust frayed like old rope. The climax crashed down 2 weeks before the wedding. It was a Friday night, the city pulsing with pre-spring fever. I'd wrapped early at the clinic, surprise takeout from our favorite Thai spot in my bag. Pad CEW, extra spicy, his weakness. Hector's apartment was dark when I arrived, but his car was in the lot. Frowning, I let myself in. The bedroom door was cracked, light spilling out. Moans soft, unmistakable. My blood turned to ice. I pushed it open, and there they were, Hector and, not Elena, a guy lean, blonde, the paralegal I joked about months back. They weren't naked, thank God, but tangled. Shirts off, lips locked, hands roaming. The paralegal, Tyler, his name hit me. Froze, scrambling back. Hector bolted upright, horror etching his face. Chris, wait. Rage exploded. I hurled the bag. It splattered sauce across the wall, noodles sliding down like bloody tears. You son of a bitch, I roared. All that therapy, all those promises. It's not what. He lunged for me, but I shoved him hard, chest heaving. Tyler bolted past, mumbling apologies, half-dressed. The door slammed behind him. Alone, Hector sank onto the bed, head in hands. It was a mistake. One night, I was drunk, stressed, the case fallout, Dad's birthday would have been tomorrow. He texted, came over. I don't even like him. Excuses. I paced, voice breaking. You betrayed me. After everything, the hate, the rebuilding. For what? A quick fuck to numb the pain. He looked up, tears streaming. I panicked. Thought I wasn't enough. For you, for the firm, for my family. Tyler was easy, no strings. But it wasn't you. It never is. I laughed. Bitter. That's the problem. I'm always the strings. The one you fight, then flee. Memories flooded. College taunts, the alley kiss, the rain-soaked proposals. All smoke and mirrors. I'm done. I grabbed a duffel, stuffing clothes blindly. He followed, pleading. Chris, please. We can fix this. Therapy, time. Time. I whirled. You've had years. My years. Zipping the bag, I paused at the door. You win again, Hector. Always do. The hallway blurred through tears. I crashed at a hotel in Midtown. Phone off, world narrowed to 4 walls and regret. Calls came anyway. Maria sobbing, my mom confused. What happened, honey? Couldn't say. Not yet. Saturday dawned gray, matching my soul. I wandered Central Park, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. Tourists picnicked. Joggers smiled. Life mocking my wreckage. By noon, I found a bench overlooking the lake. Rain threatening again. That's when he appeared, Hector, disheveled in yesterday's clothes, eyes hollow. "Go away," I muttered, not looking up. He sat anyway, space between us vast as oceans. "I canceled the wedding." My head snapped up. "What?" "Called the venue, the caterers. Told Maria. Everyone." He pulled an envelope from his jacket. Our invitations shredded. "If I can't have you, I don't deserve the show." Anger flared anew. "Don't play martyr. You cheated. End of story." He nodded, unflinching. "I did, and I'll carry that shame forever. But hear me out, one last debate." A ghost of a smile. "You owe me that." I crossed my arms, silent. He took a breath. "College? I was an ass because you challenged me. Made me question the armor, the perfect son, the star debater. When you came out, fierce and unapologetic, it terrified me. I was still in the closet, performing for everyone. So I pushed harder, to keep you at arm's length. I swallowed, old wounds reopening. Then the reunion. Working with you? It was redemption. You saw the real me, flaws and all. I fell hard, Chris. But grief, stress. I reverted. Used Tyler like a crutch because facing the pain alone? Easier than risking you seeing me break. Why tell me now? I whispered. Because love isn't perfection. It's showing up broken and hoping you'll stay. He reached for my hand. I let him, tentative. I don't expect forgiveness today, or ever. But I love you, messy, hard one. If you'll let me earn it back. Rain began, soft patters on the leaves. I thought of our journey. Hate's fire forging something deeper. Betrayal's knife, carving space for truth. "It hurts," I said finally. "Deep. I know." His thumb stroked my knuckles. "Let it. I'll hurt with you." We sat there, soaked to the skin, as the storm swelled. No grand gestures, just presence. Hours passed. The park emptied. "Come home," he said at dusk. Not our home, his.
Mine.
Ours maybe. I nodded, exhausted. Slowly. The weeks that followed were a gauntlet. No wedding, no rush, just us, raw. We attended separate therapy, then joint. A no-nonsense counselor in the village who called bullshit on both sides. Hector quit drinking cold turkey, channeled energy into a mentorship program for queer law students. I leaned on friends, journaled the rage until it dulled to embers. One night, over lukewarm pizza on the fire escape, he asked, "Still hate me?" I considered. Less. But the journey? Yeah, harder than expected. He smiled, sad and true. "Good. Means it's real." Spring bloomed tentative like us. We volunteered together, LGBTQ Center in Harlem, story hours for queer kids. Seeing him with them, patient, shining, chipped at the ice. "You're good at this," I said once, watching him read aloud. "So are you." His hand found mine. Team. Team. By June, forgiveness wasn't whole, but it was enough. We renewed vows, not legally, not yet. In that Prospect Park grove, just us and an efficient friend. Rings exchanged again, simpler bands. "I choose you," he vowed, voice steady. "Every broken piece." "And I you," I echoed, tears mixing with laughter. "Even the asshole parts." The city hummed around us. Horns, laughter, life. No fanfare, but profound. Human. Marriage settled like dust after a storm. Familiar shapes emerging, but forever altered. We honeymooned cheap. A road trip upstate, cabin in the Catskills with a creaky porch and no cell service. No Paris, no beaches, just us. Hiking trails that twisted like our path. Mornings, coffee brewed black. Evenings, stargazing with stolen sips of wine. "Remember the rain?" He'd murmur, arm around me. I'd nod. The memory a scar, not a wound. Cleared the air. Back in Brooklyn, routine rebuilt us. Hector scaled back hours, started a podcast on immigrant rights. His voice, that old debate timbre, reaching thousands. I thrived at the clinic, arguing cases that echoed our fights. Home was a third-floor walk-up in Bed-Stuy, walls lined with photos. College us glaring across a table, recent us grinning at a pride march. Proof of the arc. Conflicts lingered, of course. Anniversaries triggered shadows. His guilt flaring, my walls rising. 1 year in, over anniversary dinner at that East Village bar, he slid a box across the table. Inside, a journal, leather-bound, pages filled with his scrawl. Letters, he said. One for every day I wanted to quit on us. Reasons to stay. I flipped through. Raw confessions. Day 47. Saw you laugh at Maria's joke. Worth the fight. Tears blurred the ink. You idiot, I whispered, pulling him close. Why now? Because journeys don't end at I do. They loop. That night we danced slow in the living room. Radio jazz low. No rain, no rage. Just sway and breath. Love, humanistic and hard-earned. Years folded forward. By 2028, Hector's podcast went viral. A segment on queer Latinx voices landing him TED Talks, book deals. I made partner at a bigger firm, specializing in family law, helping couples like us navigate the mess. We adopted a rescue mutt, Luna, who chewed shoes and hearts alike. Friends married off. Kids entered the picture. Nieces and nephews at holidays. Chaos of tiny hands and bigger loves. But the real test came in 2030. Hector's firm imploded, scandal, embezzlement by a partner. Headlines screamed his name, though he was cleared fast. Still, the toll. Sleepless nights, congressional hearings where suits dissected his judgment. I stood by him, prepping testimony, holding his hand under the table. They see the villain again, he muttered once, staring at deposition transcripts.
No, ikuntarat, fiarsa.
They see a man who fights, like always. The fallout cost us, savings dipped, social circles thinned. We downsized to a one-bedroom, cooked beans and rice like his abuela taught. In the quiet we found gold. Board games by candlelight, runs where we debrief the day. Harder than expected. He joked one evening, sweat slick on the couch. I kissed his temple. But we're still here. The humanistic heart of it? Not the highs, the proposals, the wins, but the valleys where choice matters. Hector chose vulnerability, therapy over pride.
I chose grace over grudge.
We mentored a kid from Queens, young, gay, debate sharp like us. Don't waste the hate, I'd tell him. Turn it to fuel. On our 5th anniversary, we returned to NYU. The quad was alive with freshmen, echoes of our war. Hector spoke to the debate club, poised, passionate. Rivals teach you most, he said, eyes finding mine in the back. They show your blind spots, your fire. After, in the hall where we'd first clashed, he pulled me close. Hated you once, he whispered. Love you now, I replied. The journey, paved with potholes, detours, downpours. Harder than expected, yeah. But damn, the view, from hate to here, married in the mess of it all. Human as a heartbeat, steady and true. We walked out into the autumn sun, hands linked, ready for whatever storm next. Because that's us, Christopher and Hector, survivors of our own making. And in America's grand, gritty sprawl, from Philly porches to Brooklyn stoops, we found home, in each other.